So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Transformer Prime. So let's start the series. My day was a piece typical with me working at K.O. Burger Goodness, and no doubt I was attempting to control my outrage with the ninja preparing that I had when I was in my aspect, and yeah, I'm not from this aspect. And when the school menace drove up, it was truly doing my head in when was mouthing off. Feed hinder hamburger and french fries with some coca presently, is what he said. Come to the second window, sir, I said with my unique eyes showing up. The Sharingan or the duplicate, will I so utilize a genjutsu to conceal them? Much appreciated, he said, then he drove off. Feed, you need to pay for that. I shouted. Bastard, I murmured softly. At the point when I completed my day of work, I ventured external in my typical clothing, well, essentially for this aspect. A dim top over a long sleeve that was dim blue, some pants, and with white shoes. As I was strolling by, I saw a blue cruiser with some pink around it. Well, that is cool, I expressed, strolling over to it as two purple vehicles with cannons jumped out and taking shots at us, and by us I mean the bicycle and myself. Get on the bicycle, said, and it sounded female with a mechanical clue to it, thus I bounced onto the bicycle and we dash off. We continued to drive until we were on the expressway. We began driving without traffic until I saw a yellow Camaro driving towards us. A companion? I inquired. Family, she said as we drove off the parkway, and I leaped off. I saw a youngster around 12 playing with a controller vehicle as the vehicles and bicycle drove off, and me leaping off the vehicles changed. The two purple vehicles had 8 companions that looked precisely the same. However, there was the bike that seemed to be a little slim femme, and the Camaro was somewhat greater than the femme yet looked solid. Then he squashed the little vehicle. Whirl Blair, the yellow one said with a sorry look all over. It's alright, I'll another one, he told the yellow robot, and it began battling different ones, and I now whatever is purple abhorrent that was, until one of the 10 robots pursued me and the youngster, so I delivered the genjutsu showing my 3 Tomo Sharingan, then ran before the youngster. Remain behind me, I told him with some annoyance in my voice. Alright, he expressed, beginning to get terrified. As the robot was prepared to kill us, I chose to go through one of the aces my sleeve and utilized the Manjikyu Sharingan, and the Tomo began to whirl and my eye went to dark with 8 red precious stones. Then all I said was, Amaterasu. Then, at that point, this robot was shrouded in the dark blazes of Amaterasu, and it was liquefying it down, and it was being constrained back. I didn't stop there, I enacted my Susanoo. Picture Sasuke's, nevertheless a dark form with red eyes. And I got at him, and making a greater amount of Amaterasu's flares dissolved this robot quicker, yet calling the blazes all around its body. As the remainder of this bot's body was afire with Amaterasu as it was dissolving it down to nothing, then I soaked the blazes. Then I went to the robots battling the bike, and Camaro was battling. I began to fly thou hand signs. Torai Ushi Ayu Torai Saro Tenin Tatsu Torai Inu Uman Tora, I said, called each sign, and was called my chakra into my right pointer and brought up it and said Raiton, Raiji Nikari. I brought my finger down as 9 lightning bolts hit. He last of the 9 suffocates, making them detonate. On the spot as parts was sent flying all over the place. The other 2 robots, the ones that helped us, was stunned at what happened. Before they could ask me what just happened, I got the youngster and Shu shined away from the area. We showed up in my local. When I inquired, are you alright? He answered with a yeah, and afterward asked me, for what reason are your eyes dying? Gracious, it happens when I utilize any of the Manjikyu Sharingan, I told him while rubbing the blood away from my eyes, so he requested that I walk him home, so I did, and he asked me how I did all that. Thus I told him, I'm not from this aspect. Where I'm from, ninja are the police and the military. We maintain the control in our towns and keep it safe. And before you ask, there are lots of towns, however there are 5 fundamental towns, and the towns have a pioneer or kage to protect us ourselves. Where I solidness from is Konoha with the Hokage. Where do you figure out how to turn into a ninja, he inquired. To begin with, the Ninja Foundation, many then should go through a test to check whether you can do the test. Then, at that point, assuming that you pass, you and 2 others are given a teacher that will prepare you to be the most grounded that you can be. My master was Kushina Uzumaki, the spouse of the 4th Hokage. She was awesome, I said with tears dropping from my eyes. What has been going on with her, he asked, as of now that she was dead yet needed to know how. Very much. Let you know first about individuals called Jinjuriki. There should be 9 of them, and with the 9 are the 9 followed monsters. Inside teacher was the 9 followed fox, and when a female Jinjuriki conceives an offspring, the seal on them debilitates. I halted to take a breath. During October the 10th, a man with a cover interfered with the birth, and my godson had recover, with me, master and ruler forth there his words was hand over the Jinjuriki or child bites the dust at the terrific age of 1 moment. Thus, me and ruler forth moved him away from Naruto, and the Hokage utilized his Harisin to keep Naruto away from the battle. So then, at that point, it was me and this treated, and it was twin sharp edges versus a kunai, and the battle went this way and that until I got occupied safeguarding one of the medical caretakers, and he took teacher. He gathered the Kyubi from teacher, and when she was falling I saved her due to 2 reasons. 1, she was the monster teacher. There was 2, she was my backup parent. An epic battle continued with the 4th and is called the culinary expert Frog Gamabunta versus the Kyubi until ruler 4, no master Minato chose to utilize the best. Everything being equal, the harvester passing seal. However, that monster was savvy and attempted to kill Naruto, who was brought prior, yet master and Minato chose to give their own lives rather than their child, and Minato fixed in Naruto. I told him. His eyes showed feel sorry for then he said he was upset for Ray's a terrible memory. It's alright, you didn't have any idea, as go to where he experienced the halfway house. Goodness, I go by Rafael Esquivel, however you can refer to me Raf as, he said broadening his hand. I'm Jackson Uchiha Darby, I said shaking his hand and afterward leaving. The following day, my day was going great until I saw the school menace pursuing Raf. I utilized a fence to change into the head and shouted, Vince! Goodness crap, Vince said okay sir. What do you assume you are doing? I asked. Meanwhile give the change the Sharingan to tell Raf it was me, and he comprehended. I was he said as his flunkies was leaving him. Confinement now. I directed a few doors down toward the keys office and he strolled down easily. Presently Mr. Esquivel, I want you go with me, I said as I strolled into one of the vacant study halls and dropped the support. You alright? I inquired. Yeah, how are you going to manage Vince? What's more, detainment, he said as I made a shadow clone and advised him to tell the primary everything, and as the shadow clone shined to the foremost. Then 5 minutes after the fact I saved the memories from my clone, and the memories say that the clone utilized Koto Amatsukami on the head. Vince won't be an issue, I told him. What's more, the remainder of the day went by without an issue. However, toward the finish of school a yellow Camaro was stopped out front of the school. I prepared to raffin myself, and as we strolled up the entryway opened and it blared. Do you need the 2 of us or only one of us? I inquired. No Jack, he needs me. Your ride is around there, he said. Ride? Yeah, and don't stress, I have my kunai that you gave during school, he expressed getting in, and the Camaro drove off. Alright, I expressed strolling past the bike into the partner way. Could you at any point quit following me? I expressed pivoting, and there was the bike with a lethier rider. Then it changed into the fam. I really want you to come in, she said. As I was naturally suspecting, a circumference with dark recruit with pink features appeared and expressed, come on man, go with. It took the femme 5 seconds before face palming and said peace. After 5 minutes. For what reason do we need to carry her with us? I inquired. Rules, she expressed back with disturbance in her voice. As we were driving I spotted one of the mountains and a cycle of its front opened, appearing there was more road. As we continued to drive it showed a huge war room with 2 additional robots. One was white with a few orange and the other one was red and had blue legs, and afterward another went along with them. This one was enormous and green. The red and blue one strolled up and said, Hi, I'm Optimus Prime. My day was beginning typical until I met Monster Robots and said that his name was Optimus Prime. Hi, I'm Optimus Prime, he said. Hello, the young lady with dark hair said. Hey, I go by Jack Uchiha Darby and this is Rafael Esquivel or Raf, I told him. I'm Miko, the young lady said. Who are you? What are you? What's more, do you have a human region? I asked them. Well, you currently realize then I'm Optimus Prime. My second in order is RC, he expressed, demonstrating to the blue femme the clinical official wrench, he said as the orange and white one checked us, the X-Wrecker bulkhead, he said as the enormous green one strolled over to us, and the scout honeybee as he had last showed us the yellow mech. Out. Great, I said. What we are is very basic. We are independent automated living beings from the planet Cybertron, he told us. Yet, you can call us Autobots for short, RC expressed, ringing in. However, it appeared as though she was keeping an eye of me. Goodness, she can attempt thou. Furthermore, for the last inquiry, yes, we have a human region, Ratchet said as he highlighted an open region. Cautions began to go off and every one of the pieces began to check out at one of Wrench Terminal's Fowler. Conceal the kids, Optimus said. Bulkhead strolled over to Optimus, then he stopped like he believed that us should take cover behind him. Yet I'm a ninja with the Sharingan, so I my methodologies. So I enacted them when Miko rushed to Bulkhead and Raph snatched my shirt. Kamui, I called when a dark opening sucked me and Raph into it and sending us to the Kamui aspect, and when it said left me and Raph it showed us the bots and Miko, yet the variety was mutilated. Then an enormous human with brown complexion left a lift and shouted, Prime said, your kin obliterated an extension that is on the road for name for all that is great and blessed. What occurred? Decepticons, they are back, Optimus shared with him. So they are, yet that was a great deal of blowback, he expressed, shouting at Optimus, and oddly enough I needed to us Amaterasu on him. Then Bulkhead got something of fastener and said, look here Fowler, we not win to hold back, showing Fowler the piece of innovation that Wrench was chipping away at and squashed it without any problem, and when to apply force, he said. Yet, that got, the very amusing, Bulkhead I netted that, from Ratchet. Thus Fowler left yet to prior to giving one final admonition to Optimus. Control you individuals, Prime, or I will. As the lift shut I utilized Kamui to bring back myself and Raph. What did you simply do? Warsi asked me, and afterward the stunned look all over was saying that I have blood coming from my eyes. Jack, you might have recently took cover behind Bulkhead as opposed to utilizing the Mangekyo Sharingan, Raph said, looking stressed. It's fine, Raph, I shared with him while scouring the blood from my eyes. Again, what was that? RC asked me once more. It was Kamui. I can utilize it to go to the Kamui aspect, and it can likewise be utilized to make a pinpoint dark opening where I'm looking, I told them. Also, the draining eyes, Ratchet said. A side impact of the Mangekyo Sharingan, I said. Are there any others? He inquired. Indeed, on the off chance that I continue to utilize the Mangekyo Sharingan I will go visually impaired. Piece, there is a method for fixing it, I shared with him. Furthermore, what is that? He said. I should have an eye relocate with a person of a similar faction to closer the connection the better, I said. Gracious, you can fix it, Bulkhead said. I would assuming that everything except 3 of my family actually are alive, me excluded, I said, and the base turned out to be peaceful. What? Bulkhead inquired. Signal Honey Bee. Please accept my apologies. What? Ratchet inquired. How? RC inquired. Could you at any point answer the inquiries? Optimus asked as he licked the Autobots. Was stunned like Miko too with wide eyes? Very much. Let me get settled first, I expressed, approaching the human region, and I got out a parchment and gathered an old couch. Well, everything started in my hometown, Konoha. I was taking care of my god sibling as an ANBU in light of the fact that he was a Jinchuriki of the 9 followed Fox the Kyuubi, yet he just held one portion of its chakra, and the holder to other was his dad just after he fixed it some. However, I diverged. It was 5 of us watching him. It was me, Ian, Hebe, Karasu, and Ryu. We was watching him so no resident would accomplish something moronic, and afterward me and Karasu was called to the Hokage's office. I said yet before I could continue Miko asked something. What is the Hokage? The head of the town. Presently then when me and Karasu was in his office we was met by him, his 2 counselors and an old bastard by the name of Danzo. When we was in the workplace the Hokage let us know that we could eliminate our covers. My code name was Kurukami, and when we did we was told then the Uchiha family was arranging a rebellion against Konoha and its kin. Without a doubt it was stunning. We were told to research to check whether it was valid. Thus me and Itachi, how was Karasu was shipped off, figure out the thing was going on. Thus we went around and figured out that the top of the Uchiha group was doing this so they could acquire power. I told them. What happened then? Bulkhead inquired. Well, me and my cousin Itachi told the Hokage this and he was enraged, no doubt. He needed individuals that was all a piece of the rebellion at his feet, and as we were en route to gather them Danzo advised us to kill all of the Uchiha faction, all things considered. I said no. However, at that point he accomplished something that make Itachi falter. He said that he would kill Itachi's younger sibling Sasuke if the Uchiha family was not dead before the night's over. So when I was carrying out my responsibility of safeguarding my god sibling I saw ANBU rush to the Uchiha region. Thus I ran too, and what I saw was chilling. Deep down was all of the Uchiha group dead. Just a single left bursting at the seams with cousin being the executioner. As I pursued Itachi the one of Konoha's backwoods, I asked him for what reason and he said all I did was kill the rebellion individuals, and afterward when I ventured external all of the embraces were dead by a man named Madara Uchiha, and when he said that name it stunned me. There was no Madara Uchiha alive or resolutely dead with that name. It was unimaginable, I said. How could it be incomprehensible? Optimus asked me. He dead a while back and killed the first Hokage, I said, stunning them and their countenances. Was this RC was wide looked at with mouth agape. Bulkhead was attempting to say something. Ratchet was attempting to piece it together. Honeybee was wide looked at. Nico looked stunned and said Phantom. Raph took a gander at me with dismay in his eyes and Optimus inquired, how? I wish I knew, yet I don't. Unfortunately, following an hour of we and Itachi talking, we made it look like Itachi took off with his crow bring. I wrapped up. One more caution went off and one of the terminals shoot a face of a bot that was not in that frame of mind with them, and Wrench headed toward the terminal and enacted something, and way that we came in was gone into an entryway of green and sign, and the bots ran. Now it then as Miko planned to run. Now it I court her. You stay here, I said, utilizing a touch of the followed monster chakra that I had in me. At the point when the bot were gone, I was attempting to desire her the Haratian as Raph was posing inquiry about my life as a ninja, and I addressed all that could be expected with Miko drawing something that seemed to be a me, he and Raph as ninja with me being the master, as it carried a grin to my face. As Fastener enacted the entryway once more, or as he called it groundspan, we saw Optimus walk thou with Honeybee and Bulkhead conveying RC thou. RC that occurred, Fastener asked. She just shook her head, not replying. RC, what was that thing in there? Optimus asked this time, yet she didn't say anything, so I approached her and inquired, what did you see? This time she checks out at me and notes the worry in my eyes and hubs. Bluff was no there, it was only a beast, she said as she began to shake in outright dread. Robots who feel dread, Raph said. Robots who can fell torment, Nico said. Robots who can kick the bucket, I expressed, going on from what we were talking about. As RC got steady, I take a gander at my telephone and the time, and there was no sign. Optimus, no bars, I told him. We don't need other distinguishing us, so we can seal our sign, he told me. In the event that I don't call or return home, my mom will get the police out. Did you overstep any regulations? He asked me. Time limitation, I should be home a specific time during the week for school tomorrow, I said. Okay, human regulations, he said, as I suspected. Mother is recently caricatured. Bulkhead escort Nico home, Optimus said as he said that. Grind, I have the large person. I bet he is a beast truck, she said. Furthermore, stay in vehicle mode so no people see you, he proceeded. Miko groaned until she seen Bulkhead's vehicle mode satisfied her. Honeybee, bring Raphael back home, Optimus said. Blair signal spin Blair, he said. All right, Raph said as he strolled away. Ratchet, Optimus inquired. He got over Optimus saying he wants to look at the substance that he found on RC. RC, Optimus said. Wow, I actually feel woozy, she said. Had a go at acting sick. As your primary care physician, I say you're fine, Ratchet said, not in any event, checking her out. So RC changed into her bicycle structure and drove on, and it took us 2 hours to return home. And when I opened my carport, and there was my mother tapping her foot. Jack, what took you such a long time? She asked me. Out, and I got this, I expressed, motioning to RC, and afterward I ninja flagged her colloquialism that RC was not ordinary. You could break your neck, she said, then flagged me getting out. Whatever is it then? All IWA have fallen flat, I told her then, at that point. Flagged that it was a female robot outsider then, at that point, can change. Fine, yet wear a protective cap and one day have a good time with me, she said, and flagged me saying that would watch out for RC. Great, however she's somewhat volatile, I said, flagging that her name was RC. She 10 remaining, and I enacted silencer seal as she changed. What in the name PF Primus do you imply that all of IWA attempted to break your neck, she inquired. Well, IWA is a ninja town, and at any point time that they got close to me they would attempt to break my neck, I told her. Why, she inquired. War, I said, stunning her. War, and during I lost my twin sister Rose, I said. How did you move past the heartbreak, she inquired. I recall them consistently with the goal that they don't pass on in that frame of mind of the people who love them, I said as I was advancing toward the entryway. She asked me another thing. For what reason do you continue to attempt even though you realize you could critical, she asked, and it resembled she not asking me but rather herself. I continue to circle for the right young lady and that keeps me rational, yet Hussein would need an executioner for employ, I said. You don't currently, on the off chance that you were Cybertronian, or on the other hand assuming I were human, perhaps, she told me. I snickered, and as I left the carport I almost missed the search in her optics almost. The day was pleasant until RC chosen to fire up her motor, so I rushed to the carport. What on God's green earth, RC, you'll awaken mother? I expressed, hollering at her. We should go, come on, she said. Why, I inquired. We can watch out for you, she said. Fine, let me get dressed, I said, on the grounds that I was exclusively in a couple of fighters which said kiss my nuts, thus I left. RCOPV. Firing up my motor was to simply stand out, yet I didn't realize I would get a show, I thought. I then, at that point, halted myself. What am I thinking, I said. I don't maintain that a human should have a human as a sparkmate, do I thought. Jack OPV. Following 20 minutes of getting dressed, we were headed to the Autobots base until RC posed a bizarre inquiry. Feed Jack. I considering complete two people do when they are distant from everyone else once they're sparkmates. What, I inquired. You now know the night they are boned, she said. That's what's simply like, she said, unamused. Well, there is something else to it besides that, I said. For what reason do people make it happen, she inquired. Generally joy, I said. How, she inquired. On the off chance that you were human, you'll now, I said. As we arrived at the base, I found toward the edge of my eye bulkhead preparing to drive down a mountainside. I could figure. What's happening with Mass? RC asked as the two of us drive down the side of the mountain. We should not inquire, I said. As we got in, the base wrench was working on some purple fluid on a glass piece. Roughage ratchet, what's that? I asked, strolling over to him. I'm taking a gander at this substance. I found this on RC leg, he told me. I actuated my Sharingan and amazingly I could see chakra. Jack, do you see that? My dearest companion and the 11 followed Wolf Kiba. Yeah, I do, I shared with him. Fastener, I see chakra in this, I told him. I see, he said in thought, then he drew out some energon and placed some on another glass section and afterward inquired, what do you see now? The equivalent, I told him. I see. Jack, what is chakra? He inquired. Well, chakra is fundamental, the most essential of procedures or jutsu, through different strategies, the most widely recognized of which is hand seals. Chakra can be controlled to make an impact that wouldn't be imaginable in any case, like strolling on water, breathing out fire, or making deceptions, I said, and when everyone, since they chose to tune in, and posed a similar inquiry. How would you know all of that off by heart/flash? My mom is a clinical ninja, prepared with my teacher, auntie and backup parent, I told them, and nobody saw that the cautions was going off and Fowler strolled in. Prime, he hollered, strolling into the primary part. Then he saw that me, Nico and Raph, chatting with regular folks. My bosses will recruit of this, he expressed, strolling over to the telephone. Before he could arrive at it, I showed up before him with my Mangekyo Sharingan enacted. Tsukuyami, I expressed, string into his eyes, and afterward he showed up in a universe of haziness with a red sky and a blood-steadied moon, and Fowler, which I had fastened to a seat on the planet, so I chose to converse with him. 3 Ed individual OPV. A shadow rose starting from the earliest stage. Jack was emerging from the shadow with Jack's base half actually as the shadows while he was gazing down at Fowler. Welcome, Specialist Fowler, to Tsukuyami. In this spot I'm God. Presently explain to me why I ought to allow you to free, Jack inquired. With the goal that I could get the bots off world, he said. No, Specialist Fowler, you won't do that, Jack expressed. You will pay attention to what I need to say. I am Jackson Uchiha Darby and I not from around here. Gracious, yeah. Then where are you from that point, he inquired. Another aspect, I'm Inspire Ninja, allowed me to ask you a solicitation, Jack inquired. Furthermore, what is this solicitation? Fowler asked, raising an eyebrow. You let me, Raph and Nico work with the bots. To me, Raph and Nico don't need to go to class anymore. Reasons: Raph is a PC virtuoso, Nico is a demolitionist in preparing, and me a ninja, an expert of covertness in killing, Jack told him. Jack OPV. As I let him know this, I disposed of the chains that held him and built a table and an additional seat and sat in the additional seat. While he was thinking how to do this, thus he gestured. All right, yet what do we refer to you three as? He asked me. Call us Dark Wolf, Red Fox and Pink Bear, I let him know, collapsing my arms with 3 documents showing up. What are these, he asked, getting one. Provides details regarding every one of us, I told him, as he opened the one he had and perused out loud. Name, Raphael Raf Esquivel. Codename, Red Fox. Work, PC Master / Scout / Creator. Close battle weapon, obscure. Long range weapon, obscure. Age, 12 and a half. Raf will be great to have at base with Ratchet, or on the other hand, in the event that he is at any point conveyed on a missions, he will be simply hacking and getting data, I said. That is really smart, yet he will require weapons preparing. He then get the following document, and that ended up being Miko's. Name, Miko Nicadia. Codename, Pink Bear. Work, Demolitionist / weighty / bitch with group. Close battle weapon, obscure. Long range weapon, obscure. Age, 15". He expressed taking a gander at me, then he inquired, bitch with ordnance? Yeah, bitches love standards, I said cheerfully. All he did was gesture his head and read my document. Name, Jackson Uchiha Darby. Codename, Dark Wolf. Work, ninja / professional killer / pioneer. Bloodline, Sharingan, Maru Rantan, Complete Tempest Discharge, Rantan, Storm Discharge, Shakuten, Singe Discharge, Bakutan, Blast Discharge, Hayatan, Ice Discharge, Futton, Bubble Discharge, Kajitan, Shadow Discharge, Jintan, Quick Delivery, Enten, Burst Discharge. Close battle weapon, Soul and Shadow. Long range weapon, not applicable. Age, 16". He take a gander at me and inquired why no lengthy rang weapon. I like to get very close than at a reach, and that is us all, I told him as the fizzles diapered. We want to concoct a name for you, part, he expressed, checking me. I consent to this, however we will require some assist. We with canning get certain individuals from the military into this too out. For the group name NEST, I will get anything Transformers into this, so anticipate a great deal of Transformers in this, or the non-natural extra-earthly species settlement, I said. Who do you think could help us? A couple of fighters, yet I might want to meet the general to check whether there could be more, Fowler said. Thus we chatted on about home, and following 2 hours of talking I realized Tsukuyami. Alright, what simply occurred, Bulkhead asked. Thus I educated them concerning mine and Fowler's thought, and Tsukuyami meanwhile scouring the blood from my eyes. So following 10 days of delaying, and it was Monday the 9th when Fowler strolled in with 3 others. First was a man with dim hair with a 5 o'clock shadow, a lady with light hair and a braid, and, at long last, with a man with diminutive fair hair. Bots, youngsters, meet the main figureheads of home. First there's Major William Lennox. Fowler showed to the man with the 5 o'clock shadow. He product Levis, a dark cowhide coat and dark tennis shoes. Hey, he began as he checked out, concentrating on the bots and us. I'm William Lennox, Major of the S Armed Force, and I'm one of the 2 chiefs. Meet the lady that would provide us our orders, state from the President, Charlotte Mering. Fowler demonstrated to the lady as she was wiring a suit and didn't look that intrigued. Allow me to let you know this now. You let me know something, I tell the President, something different, or make a lie to the general population. When she expressed each of that, we as a whole acquired an enormous sweat drop. Lastly, the one you will send each of the reports to, General Morshauer, Fowler went on as he showed the general. He was wiring his full military uniform, with battle boots, and he was clean cut. Hi, ideal to meet you Autobots, he said. Ideal to meet you also, Optimus said. Furthermore, I chose to offer something at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. Let's will work then. At that point, as I was at that point in my umbu stuff, and I just put on my veil. My cover was dark and in the shape of a wolf with red outlines on the mouth and nose, and I had a seal made for the cover. So at whatever point I were the veil, my eyes become yellow. With the new group called NEST, we was going missions close by, the Autobots assisting them with acquiring Energon before the Decepticons could get it themselves, and today we as a whole were in the base doing arbitrary things. I was battling a preparation faker, Lennox, and his men was playing ball. Honeybee and Bulkhead was watching the game. Miko was in the firearm range with the teacher, Optimus, and Ratchet was investigating the purple substance that was on RC's leg. RC was keeping an eye on me when I'm preparing with my shirt off, and allow me to let you know this, though the long stretches of preparing I have exacting stone hard abs and with sweat too, with everything over my body I could let that she cherish know she's seeing, and I swear that she is becoming flushed blue. Presently to Raph we got him a sketch cushion so he could plan a few weapons and different things for Miko and himself. However, every time he portioned 5 seconds after the fact he consequently the thought away. Roughage Jack Raph called to me. Yeah, I expressed checking him out. Could you at any point assist with the planning the weapons and devices for will be utilized? He asked me. Mightn't you at any point consider anything? I inquired. No, I can't, he said. Roughage, why not take a gander at things from sci-fi and different things like that so you can get a few thoughts structure it you don't presently and perhaps you can get one of them to work for you, Lennox said when he was getting water for himself. That is not an ill-conceived notion, Raph said. Then he began to plan his own lightsaber and blaster, and after I was finished with preparing and I strolled to my number 1 seat, a Shelby couch, and I took a gander at Raph with Ratchet behind him, and assuming that I rented merrily I could hear. I have a straightforward wellspring of energy that could be utilized for that blade and blaster, and it is little enough so it would fit in there. An arrangement harm to the foe, Ratchet expressed, and with what they went to work and Raph made the model and moved to an alternate space to test it when Prime Specialist Fowler strolled in. Indeed, Specialist Fowler, Optimus replied. I connected with the Pentagon that something strange is going to with the radars in the desert are being screwed up and are being moved to a Pacific objective. I don't have any idea what it is, nevertheless yeah, they have moved, he said. We will get on it, Specialist Fowler, Optimus said, with Raph going to his PCs and searching for what they was being locked onto. Alright, when you have word tell me and I'll individuals higher up, he said prior to leaving. What called up his button kick the bucket, Epps said from where he was standing. Fowler OPV. This is Specialist William Fowler returning from Autobots base, I said as I took off from the mounting in my F-22 Raptor and I was zooming across the desert. That is the point at which I noticed one more fly toward the side of my eye. Fighter, recognize yourself? I shared with the fly. I don't pay all due respects to people, the stream said. This is Specialist William Fowler needing help, I said to the Autobot base. Khan's got me and I'm goanna need help. The stream changed and said, well, Specialist William Fowler, we should talk. That's what he said, yet before he could get me I chose to crash my fly myself, thumping him a couple of meters away. Jack OPV. As everybody was preparing for a mission to get Energon with Miko utilizing the model lightsaber, we prepared a transmission came out of the base. This is Specialist William Fowler needing help, he said. Khan's got me and I'm goanna need help. Be that as it may, we recruited another voice and it said, well, Specialist William Fowler, we should talk. Following a couple of moments the bacon went off for Specialist Fowler's fly. Men, get prepared, you have 5 minutes. Lennox said, knowing the extents that we put on Specialist Fowler's stream in the event it crashes. Miko, 5 minutes. I said as I was preparing, and there was a reverberating SIR, yes SIR, from the men in Miko. Autobots prepare to carry out, Optimus said. All Autobots, however, Ratchet changed Miko and the majority of the men went inside Bulkhead. I got on RC and the other men got in Honeybee and Lennox drove point with Optimus. Ratchet started up the ground lady and we as a whole went thou and everybody was prepared and the Batel started. The warriors was killing Viacons down left and right. I was running thou hand signs and called Ranton, Arashion. After I did that I gazed to go thou more hand signs and said right ton. Raijini Kari and a gigantic electrical discharge obliterated the Viacons that I was taking care of and Miko was assisting Mass with heading by being Miko and in the middle of between their legs and cutting them with her lightsaber and Bulkhead and the Autobots would impact them then leaving the stream. One Starscream discharged the human and you can leave, Optimus said with everybody prepared as a ground lady of the hour showed up behind Starscream and he ran thou it yet before he got thou a Haration kunai at Starscream had bobbed off and Fowler graped it. Ratchet opened the ground lady, Optimus said, then the entrance showed up behind us all set in work. Thus as we trusted that Fowler will toss the Haration kunai so me and some others could magically transport there and save Fowler figure out the thing the Decepticons are arranging. Third individual view. Roughage Jack Raph called to him while he was making a second lightsaber. Yeah, Jack replied. I recall you letting me know that there are 9 followed monsters going from 1 tail to 9 tails and assuming every one of the 9 followed monsters are combined they make the 10 followed monster. So which monster do you have? Raph inquired. Gracious, I have the 11 followed wolf, I expressed, and as I said that the vibes of disarray that ran now the base was amusing as heck. Yet, you expressed that there was just 9 not 10, Raph said. While I told you of the ordinary followed monster made by the Sage of Six Ways, however, there are two counterfeit followed monsters, the Zero Tails and the 11 Tails. The place that is known for the sky made the Zero Tails by taking blood of a Uchiha and a pit of chakra from every one of the followed monsters. Yet the 11 followed wolf bee was made by getting chakra from the 9 followed fox and the 2 followed damnation feline and the blood of a Uzumaki, and afterward you make the 11 followed wolf that is my dearest companion. And it was made by 2 crazy individuals, the primary by the name Orochimaru and the second Danzo, I said, and afterward I felt a pull specialist my chakra and told the group, Jack OPV. At the point when everybody was prepared, Lennox simply chose to take 5 men and Miko clutched me and I utilized the Haration and we were magically transported in a room with Fowler on a Ben clasped down. Lennox, you and your men save Fowler while me and Miko sort out the thing the Decepticons are wanting to do, and afterward we'll be back, I said. Me and Miko ran out on the off chance that the room, and we remained silent as we moved thou the foe and we saw an arrangement on the screen. Miko, take a pic of that will you, I said as I keep an eye out for the Decepticons, and as she did 2 Viacons strolled into the room and saw me and Miko and we obliterated the cons and was advancing back to the next, and in the corner I harsh a fembot that was in a jail cell turning beat the damnation upward. Miko, you return to the others all that bot, I expressed, highlighting the hurt fembot. Alright, she said and raced to the others. As I approached a more cumbersome RC, however, bot fat. Hi, who are you? I inquired. Elita wanted, she said. Alright Elita, for what reason do you look like RC? I inquired. You now RC? She inquired. You now my sister? Yeah, I do, I said. Would you like to return to the Autobot base with me and that others that are here? All Elita did was gesture her head and I utilized Amaterasu to soften the entryway and let her out. Come on, I said, and afterward we came to where they were getting Fowler out. What's more, when we went inside I remained in the room with the others gathering around me and clutching me, with Elita looking confounded, however placed a metal hand on Miko and I held the Haration kunai and magically transported back to the Autobot base, and we viewed as ourselves once again at base, all-encompassing Raph and Wrench. What's more, as we strolled, Ratchet took Elita 1 to the clinical narrows and RC seen her and afterward take a gander at me, and I told her, and the reaction I got was she snatched me and kissed me on the lips and added a touch of tongue and said much obliged, face loaded with blue blush. What's more, when I proceeded to do my report I told Optimus everything and Miko showed the plans, and the words Optimus said stunned everybody. The Decepticons are building a space span. The Decepticons building a space span, Optimus expressed, and with me knowing a portion of their science I know how terrible it is. The Decepticons building a what span? Miko asked, not understanding what a space span is. Miko, it is a for the Decepticons have a greater and more variant of the ground span, I told her, and presently her face lost all tone, and presently understanding the justification for why we as a whole was frightened, so me and Raph was attempting to find the space span yet was thinking of nothing. Lennox was utilizing each contact was available to him, but on the other hand was drawing up spaces. So after around 9 to 10 hours of holding up they at long last found something that was of interest. Well, what is that in space? I asked, taking a gander at something with both RC and Elita 1 was remaining close to me as I check out at the picture from space. As the 3 of us view at the picture as Optimus and Ratchet left around 3 hours ago, as so Bulkhead and Honeybee took a gander at it, and Bulkhead offered something that's sacrosanct. We all, yeah, that is a space span, all our head whipped to him simultaneously, yet I noticed that RC was making an effort not to take a gander at me with a specific look that I know excessively well, so I accomplished something that I not done in 3 years. Jack is 16, so he was as 15, simply turning 16 what entered this aspect, and inquired as to whether we could take a walk. Yes, she replied, so we went for a stroll. As she was beginning to unwind was we walked through the lobby, she then, at that point, goes to me, so Jack did you have a sweetheart? She inquired. No, I don't, I said, attractive up at her and aback. She looked into my eyes, she started to bloom dejected and looked abroad, but I am attractive for a admirable changeable warrior that would be able to action beside me on the battlefield, so that I would accept to accumulate extenuative a babe in distress, I said, attractive advanced with a smile on my face, animate what she wants. What about human? The fembot asked as her faceplate angry added blue. What about human? I asked, attractive at her. Are you attractive for a animal adherent because able-bodied that way she could get your accouchement could accept gens? She asked. This time her face was as dejected as her body. No, not absolutely. If I accept a Kushman, I would appetite them to be like their mother and like me, I say to her as I airing on, and on whether the woman be animal or not I would be happy, I said authoritative a point to attending her appropriate in the eyes or optics. Well, that good, she said, attractive, happier, and her face has now got a baby smile on it, but her face was as dejected as the sky in a fresh she did article that did not apprehend the best me up, and so aback my arch was alike with chastening she fabricated her. Award collapsed so that I could angle Jack. I now that we accept not none anniversary added for continued, so will you be my boyfriend, she asked, and instead of giving my acknowledgement verbally I aloof kissed her. RCOPV. I was assured him to any time say yes or no, not kiss me, and my apperception was shutting bottomward, and I started to kiss a back, and I started to put my argo into his aperture, and he did the aforementioned to me, and so our argo angry for ascendancy with his acceptable the argo, and I let him bang up my aperture so that I now that he would be an allegation of this accord able-bodied the boyfriend/girlfriend ancillary, and afterwards to account of kissing Jack breaks the kiss and a fresh kisses my faceplate. Well, my lovey adherent, shall we acknowledgement to the blow of the team, he ceased to me, I nod, and so he jumped bottomward, we airing aback to the center of the abject, and we see Optimus and Ratchet was aback at the abject, and they looked worse for wear. Optimus, me, and my admirer ball as we run up to them, somehow Jack befitting his acceleration with me as he activated his Sharingan and bound over the two of them, and a fresh angry to me and deactivated it and said, this is the aforementioned actuality that was on your leg. What he said that I addendum him clean his Sharingan and a fresh go-to Manjikyu Sharingan and Alpha to use his Susanoo arm to aces up Optimus and put him in the Energon alcove, and aback Optimus was done in the alcove my ninja admirer, and afresh he uses the arm of Chakra lifts dosage the aforementioned for Hatchet that he did for Optimus, and aback they were both done. Jack deactivated his eyes afresh and abrading the claret from his eyes, a fresh article that surprises me and anybody abroad including Jack. June walks into the room. Hi, my boyfriend's mom said attractive at Jack abrading the claret from his eyes, and I apprehension article that she was holding. Jack, you now you can fix your eyes anytime, right, she said, captivation up a anal with what looked to a fan on it with red and white. I would rather go blind, Jack said, and I absentatively to ask, what is in that scroll, and afresh my admirer looked at me with anguish in his eyes and say article that I did not apprehend and attending at anybody in the base. Okay, bethink aback, I said, the alone way to fix the Manjikyu Sharingan is to accept an eye displaced can fix the ancillary effects, he said, and we all nod. Well, that allotment is alone partly true. Now aback he said that we was all quiet. What do you beggarly partly true aggregate asked. What my son agency is that you charge to accept to affair that bout belief the aboriginal is that the added eyes for the eye displaced charge be a affinity earlier or adolescent does not matter. And the added is that the affinity charge except Manjikyu Sharingan aback she said that I looked at Jack and kneeled bottomward to him. My sister and I was adversa army of IWA Neen, and my sister Rose was seeing addition and aback we begin what the IWA Neen did to her she apart her Manjikyu Sharingan aback. Jack said that I knew this was activity. Rose's adherent was raped and was baffled bad and able-bodied. My sister was 12 aback she apart Manjikyu Sharingan and it was 2 years. Afterwards I apart my aback my sister was asleep during the war with IWA continued ancillary her fiancé. Now he said that I started to understand. June unrolled the annal and summoned 2 containers with a blooming aqueous, and I saw 2 Manjikyu Sharingan eyes what looked to be annual petals afresh about face aback to the 3 Tomo Sharingan. Jack OPV. After mom brought out Rose's Manjikyu Sharingan she gives me a attending that I now to able-bodied it was the attending that sensei accord me aback I would disagree with her and I absentatively to say fine we'll accept the eye displace afterwards this mission okay, and with that my mother nodded and abashed to the medic breath, and so aback Optimus saw the amplitude arch and his eyes widen. That's his plan, he said, and I attending up at him and ask, what is it bang up bot? He looked bottomward at me and afresh looked aback at the bullpen and told us all of what he and angry to us and spoke. When me and Ratchet larboard we begin the baton of the Decepticons, Megatron we begin article that was not article I would accept baffled to see what was happening in my activity time. I apparent a photic energon and it has the adeptness to accession the dead, the big red and dejected bot said. Everyone was abashed, my mother was one of them because her association was a capital allotment of the Blaze Temple Guardians that watch over the tombs, and I was activity to do the job aback I about face 20. And with that amplitude arch with the aggregate of a sleep that is on Cybertron, Ratchet said. He was addition army, Bulkhead said. He could booty this apple and any other, Ratchet said. And with aloneness to save this world, my fembot adherent said, with me not blessed either. Beat, the advance said. I absolutely charge to get a translator for him that is not my little brother. Autobots, we are about to save this apple. I'll accord you time to say bye while the animal aggregation will try to stop the Decepticons from here, Optimus said. With me, Raph and Ratchet started to attending with the Autobots to get accessible. They begin out that there was the behemothic telescopes that was acicular to the amplitude bridge. Lennox, you, me, your aggregation and my aggregation will arch to the telescopes while the Autobots accord with the amplitude bridge, I said to him, and he nodded and yelled. Men, you have 5 minutes, Lennox yelled. Third actuality view. Lennox and him men was accepting their accoutrements accessible and stood ready. Jack started to but his umbu accessory on. He summoned his 2 katanas. They was both atramentus blades with abbreviate atramentus adamant chains. Afore he put on his umbu affectation that was it in the appearance of a wolf, and the color was atramentus with red outlining the eyes and mouth. RC walks up to him and kneeled bottomward to him and admiring a kiss on his aperture, and he kissed her aback and they bankrupt the kiss. Jack looked up at her face. Wish me acceptable luck, Jack said as he placed his affectation on. I would if you charge it, but I will, she said to him. Just appear aback to me, see, Jack said. I will, she said, and they both said I adulation you and left. Raph was putting on his accessory afresh. He looks like a dejected Buster None morphed from Takumi I Sentai Go Busters, and Bumblebee absolved up to hum and said, beep beep circle beep, stay safe Raph. I will be the adolescent boy said. Miko was now activity abounding changeable Jedi and looked like Ahsoka Tano and had her lightsabers accessible with both of them abrupt to her belt. Miko accomplish abiding to accumulate them in line, Bulkhead pointing to the NEST men. Right, Bulk, she said as she. After the 5 account the 3 teams was accessible. Lennox Duke his aggregation went into bright all the men scientists from the architecture while Jack, Raph and Miko airing into the computer allowance, and Raph started to drudge into the terminal, and so afterwards an hour. In amplitude with the Autobots, the others was aggravating to abort the amplitude bridge. What do we do, boss? Aggregate asked. Well, we will set this to self-destruct to fresh leave as fast as possible, Optimus said as him and the Autobots started to assignment afresh bisected an hour afterwards of aggravating to accomplish the amplitude arch self-destruct afresh. A fleet of seekers was aerial at them, and so the Autobots started to shoot the seekers down. RCOPV. So RC aback, did you and Jack become a thing? B asked me as we attempt bottomward cons. About a few hours, I told him, cutting bottomward 3 seekers in one shoot. Well, I achievement he treats you well, Aggregate said. There is no charge for that, Bulkhead, Optimus said. How's that, boss? Aggregate and B asked at the aforementioned time cutting bottomward seekers and has cut the arch of a Decepticon drone. Because me and Jack are about the same, aback, Optimus said that I could see it, and afresh I realized that he was appropriate, so I nodded my arch and I aloof accumulate on cutting them bottomward as I see the aristocrat Buckhead fly up to it, with a massive amount of dark energon. Jack OPV. With Raph hacking into the computers I could faculty article was up in the base. Sometimes I ambition had be a couldn't I say afresh I fell article access the allowance aback I about face about I see a continued atramentus and amethyst cable clamber in, and I unsheath my katanas as Miko dosage the aforementioned with her lightsabers. Afterwards what seemed like an hour the cable abstruse at us with me coating my blades in chakra. And accomplish a cut at the cable authoritative it bisected what thou the cable as Miko cut the blow of, and Raph said that he was done, and so I alleged Ratchet. Yes, Jack Hatchet said. We charge a pickup I say afresh the arena arch and we ran now. When we was aback at the abject I took my affectation and started to do the eye displace, and I was afresh up beneath and I was afresh in my close world. I was walking through my apperception and I see in Kiba the 11-tailed wolf. Hi Jack, how are you? He asked me. I'm good I say to him. So you and the fembot able-bodied, that was interesting, he said with a wolf-like grin. What can I say? She is absolute for me, I say afresh. I ask, how continued in my activity to be here attractive at him? About 3 hours actuality accord or booty 30 minutes, the atramentus wolf said to me. So afterwards 3 hours and 30 account I was brought out of the all I could see was bandages and I could feel chakra healing my eyes. I heard my mom say, okay, the displace went successfully, So it will booty 3 canicula fresh, you will be able to booty the bandages off, but you charge a seeing eye wolf, she said, and I could faculty there a bashing as I alpha activity thou duke signs. Iu entori sorovitsuji I alleged activity thou duke signs, kuchios no jutsu a fresh I acquainted the breath of smoke a fresh I alleged my claim to rouse Yuki. RCOPV. I watched Jack anxiety out duke signs and a fresh ball the name the jutsu a fresh an access of smoke a fresh out of the smoke austere a white wolf that alcove up to his close its fur was as white as snow, it eyes was it a photic dejected but aback it apparent Jack it spoke. Jack? Is that you? The wolf said in a changeable voice. Hi Yuki, do you apperception actuality my seeing eye wolf, he said with the smile that I adulation and the aloof nodded and they airing to the animal breath and afresh she angry to me and smiled. Well I see that you assuredly begin addition that could tie you bottomward and for you to assuredly relax, she said that as he started to beam and afresh the blow of the allowance started to beam and I as able-bodied started beam as able-bodied animate that we accept assuredly would accept some rest. After 3 weeks of accepting these bandages over my eyes I could assuredly booty those off and I activated my Manjikyu Sharingan and the 8 red chunk afflicted there was a annual outline oral the 8 chunk and so I now accept the abiding Manjikyu Sharingan already I conciliated I went to the barn to see my apprentice girlfriend. Hi Jack C alleged to me and she was what I have since seeing the most. Hello beautiful, shall we be off? I asked as I get on her bike anatomy acquainted that mom was not there so I opened the barn aperture and so we collection off to the Autobot abject as we accustomed anybody was there accomplishing their own thing. Raffen B was arena I antagonism bold on the PS3. Lennox was talking to his wife she was accustomed access because me, Raffen Miko on aggregate was charwoman the beach out of bulkhead, I don't like appetite to know. Mom was animate at her new abject at the Autobot base. The NEET men were aloof accepting accessible for the abutting deployment so they were adequate for now. Ratchet and Optimus was accomplishing article on the Capitol computer. And Elita 1 was aggravating to acquisition abatement to do and aback she saw us as they ran to us. We sat bottomward so I unsealing the Haration to see if there was a way for me and my mother to get a back home one day and so far I was cartoon up blanks. Jack you accept been aggravating to desirer that for years mom said to me. I now but I promised sensei that I would advise him what he became genin and alternation and to be Hokage I said to her and she aloof smiled at me and befuddled her head. Well I know that Kushina would appetite you to blow now and afresh and stop aggravating to amount it out for a while. You now as able-bodied as I do that it was fabricated by aristocrat additional and biggeron by Minato mom said to me like I was an academy apprentice already afresh and it pissed me off. Well if I took a blow now and afresh I would not have begin out how an accessible way to get us a back home I said loud abundant for the accomplished abject to apprehend me. What? How mom said beatitude was adumbrated on her face at actuality able to acknowledgement and shock was on everybody else's. Well I accept managed to desire her article that aristocrat additional had put and aback I apprehend off the annal if article like what happened to me happens to you that you charge except 3 things in analysis aboriginal the detonation, the dimension, the time, the acknowledgement and the adeptness if you one of these things amiss that you either die or be acutely afflicted in the proses and the attending on my mother's face was deadpan. I now that we did that the aboriginal affair we did what we got to this dimension she said sitting bottomward a cantankerous from me attractive at the annal and advanced of me. I now but that I aloof begin out is that you can't biking a back to the atom that you traveled from to get back, that does not agency I could biking to the training arena where we was testing this out, but we accept to specify that we charge to about 300 meters or added abroad from the area I said to her. But that could be anywhere in the acreage of Blaze or the apple to be honest she said attractive at the map of the ninja apple that we had on us. I know I said a fresh I would article on in the addendum mom accept the best way for to acknowledgement to my ambit I asked some awe-inspiring talking automated boob and she accord me the maths and science for me to acknowledgement home but she fabricated me affiance not to accord their science to anyone so I did not but I larbored clues in this. Jutsumi and mom afresh looked at anniversary afresh we looked at the bots aperture agape. What Ratchet asked as we looked at them. Lord Additional was on about Cybertronians mom said attractive at him with eyes advanced and afresh the accomplished abject realized why me was attractive at Ratchet. Ratchet try and advice our friends Optimus said attractive at me and Mom and Ratchet nodded and we handed him the scrolls and as he started to anticipate about how to advise us I started to accept some memories. Hey Jack, I looked at RC. Yeah, I asked acquainted the anguish on her face. Are we? I cut her off. And oh, we are still activity to be admirer and adherent. I was activity to ask if you appetite to appear with us. I asked her with adulation in my eyes. Her eyes widened and afresh looked to me. What will the blow of your apple say? And afresh said, will I be welcome? The anguish in her eyes started to eat at my heart. Well, I for one don't accord a damn what the apple says, and I now for one affair is that my god brother would accord a damn either, and neither should you, and you are a transforming apprentice, so I anticipate you could about face human. If you charge to I said thee I could acquaint that a light bulb aloof went off as she angry to her sister and afresh to Miko and asked for a bead of claret and Mom and for some advice about the analysis of the animal changeable so that she could get the anatomy appropriate and aloof afresh the anxiety went off and it was cogent us that the Decepticons was still on the move and Hatchet could acquaint that it was a photic energon. Dark energon on the move, he alleged in me Optimus and B was accepting accessible to celerity as addition anxiety went off and Ratchet said that it was an Autobot arresting and it was three of them and so me, Raph and Miko was beatific to the three Autobots and the arena helpmate opened and the three of us ran now and begin the ship. Jack, do you anticipate that they like humans? Raph asked was he was in his action accessory with a gun that get the abstraction from a sleep space. I don't now Raph, I said accepting accessible to draw my katanas. The three of us absolved to the blast armpit and begin the address and what we saw was the three Autobots. The aboriginal was one the at measurement of B but was as armed as Bulkhead with a massive size on his back. The additional one was a like fat in a nice way and had a bristles and what looks to be dreadlocks. And the final one was not as taller than now too and had a massive club for a hand. Hello, I alleged out. I the one with the club said in a Scottish accent. You bot or con? I said accepting accessible to draw MW katanas, with Raph accepting accessible to shoot and Miko to actuate her new colored lightsabers. Or Autobots, I'm Quicknix, the one with the back cannon is Bolt and the ample one is Hound. Quicknix from Transformers Cybertron. Bolt is the Adept Chic adaptation and Bassett is Age of Afterlife version. He said advertence to them afresh we heard Decepticons advancing to this affair so the allotment was started with the lot of us cutting bottomward the Decepticons and me and Miko forth with Quickmix was tacking bottomward all the flyers that was advancing in a back few landed. I had a loof accomplished one of my jutsu and luckily there was 9 of them. Raiton, Raijinikari and 9 bolts of lightning addled bottomward the 9 Decepticons. The new Autobot looked at me with advanced eyes and as I alleged Hatchet for her arch I could acquaint that they was now animated that I was their accessory and so all 6 of us absolved the back to abject with Ratchet still animate on what aristocrat additional larbert abaft and aback he saw the 3 abaft me Raph and Miko his affection lightened a bit. RCOPV aloof as Jack, Miko and Raph left. When I asked June and my sister to chase me so that I could accept a animal anatomy and with a sample of Miko's clarita back we was in my allowance and told them to access and I shut the aperture afterwards us and afresh angry to them. June, do you apperceive our biology? I ask her. Not all of it but I been belief it so that I could advise Ratchet, she said attractive at me with a abashed face. Well, clashing bodies Cybertronians don't accept organs that can be acclimated to carbon so the acumen abaft me allurement you actuality is because you are a doctor and I will heed to apperceive what to add to my anatomy so that it will be easier for the change I said to her she nodded her arch and afresh I looked my sister and said for you I. You with you science to adapt Miko's claret so that it could agglutinate with my energon now my sister's face lit up like S sparkling on an energon rush. Don't anguish you are alpine and from what your sister told me that is you are the animal age of 16, and for the acme that you are at apperceive is alpine in your animal anatomy you still growing you will stop at 18 acceptation you accept 2 animal years larboard to abound and anniversary you abound a bottom or inch depending on the person she told me in a fresh I activated access to my accurate anatomy a fresh bike, a fresh animal afresh and I was blessed and alternate to bot anatomy and absolved the back to the command center and begin Jack, Miko and Raph walking now with 3 new Autobots. Jack OPV. When I saw RC walking into the command center I was overjoyed and a fresh Optimus anxiety for arena helpmate and a back it accursed into activity 8 abstracts came and I was abashed aback I saw who was animate thou the arena helpmate added a fresh Optimus. The aboriginal was a babe that had red marks on her cheeks, amber beard with analogous eyes. She wore a chunin accord and some fleet shinobi shots and dejected shinobi sandals. She additionally had 3 hounds afterward her. This was Hana Inazuka, one of my 3 aggregation mates from my genin days. The additional one was cutting umbu accessory, and she had amethyst beard and a katana on her back. She was cutting that aforementioned umbu affectation that she admired to abrasion her Nico affectation. This was Yuga Yuzuki. "Hey Jack," Itachi said to me as I was aloof, stood there like a statue. "Happy to see us," Hana said with the aforementioned smile. She had what she was arena antic with sensei, and it was bashed on her face. "Aren't you activity to say anything?" Yugo said, and all I did was accumulation hugged them and with tears of beatitude in my eyes said, "I absent you," and afresh others abutting in with mom additionally errant as she abutting the hug. As we broke the hug I said, "Guys, accommodated the Autobots aboriginal, we accept the medical administrator Ratchet," I said pointing to the bad-tempered medic. "Then we accept the one of the hardest hitters aback, the Ino Shikocho bulkhead," I acicular to aggregate and he waved. "You've accommodated the adolescent but adventurous advanced Bumblebee," I was adage as I acicular to B that was abrading his head. "Then we accept my adherent and sexiest changeable animate RC," I said advertence her accepting a cackle out of my 3 aggregation mates. "The blush one that now the accurate science Alita one and my girlfriend's sister," I said pointing to the Alita as she put on Duke on her hip. "The guy with the size on his back is Bolt, our adorable big bot, with Bolt attractive sheepish. The ample guy is Bassett, Cybertronian weapons expert, with Bassett aloof smoker a ample ammo and comatose his head. The guy that is orange and our godbrother and can accomplish adhesive as fast as a flash is Quickmix," I said acicular to him and he aloof coiled his club arm. "Afresh we accept the aggregation that tries to exhausted me and spots the backup team," I point to the accumulation of men that was relaxing. "The babe on a Amoroso Blitz is Miko," I said acicular at her and she was proving my point, my jumping up and bottom ward like a 5-year-old. "The little adeptness by the name of Raph, and he is like my little brother," with Raph aloof waving. Afresh I angry about that said, "The baton of this accumulation is Optimus Prime," with said bot admiration bottom ward in comatose his arch and the 4 of us cloister up on events. After a anniversary or 2 communicable up, me and my old aggregation was practicing our old 4-man address blazing blaze conduct barb where Hana starts application Shijuso Gutsuga afresh. Me and Itachi use Amaterasu to encourage Hana and the triplets afresh. Yuga would use Katon Gokakyu no Jutsu afresh. The 4 Hanas would dildo it afresh, hit the ambition, and that would backfire into a massive explosion. "So Itachi, what is the ambition that you said Akatsuki was afterwards again?" I asked with the abject about abandoned with Ratchet on the Capital Computer animate on how to accelerate me. Mom and my aggregation back to the aspect nations. Aggregate and B was in the chill aggravating to acquisition article had a fresh comatose there. Optimus was advertisement to our assemblage with RC and her animal anatomy sitting abutting to me, with Miko and Raph training not that far away. With Elita continuing abutting to the bang-up bot, with the backup aggregation forth with Guzzle, Bassett and Quickmix was accepting Energon from abundance with mom demography a anchor abreast us. Well it too with the, my said and accomplished so agilely that not alone I could not apprehend it, neither did Hana. Clear to echo that after most part Hana asked looing into Itachi's eyes. "Tailed beasts," he said attractive for a way to escape. "And the baby bit afore that," Yugo said cartoon her katana. Hana activity man beastly with the triplets growling, me activating my abiding manjiku and mom accept her chakra scalpels on. "Extraction of," he said. Now things happened. I acclimated Amaterasu on him, but he acclimated the angelic log to escape, but the log did not get a blow because Yugo cut the log in half. With Hana and the triplets started to use their claws on it and a fresh mom cut it with the chakra scalpels. "Itachi, you accept 10 abnormal to say why you are with an accumulation that will annihilate our godbrother, because I will not alone annihilate you. Boring. I will do what sensei did to you aback. You did not about face up on time to the aggregation meeting," I said with my Susanoo activating about me, and anybody was abashed with what I said. "Able-bodied except the ninja. Well, I am a spy," he said, but activated his own Susanoo to stop me from crushing him for Aristocrat Third and Aristocrat Jiraiya so that they could accord with the Akatsuki, and I begin some things out that you would not believe, he said as he was amidst by me, Hana, Mom, and Yugo. "What would we believe?" Yugo asked, accepting accessible to strike. I accept begins Sensei's adolescent brother that got us to angle bottomward a little, and I sensed Obito Uchiha and Rin Noara. Yes, Rin is animated in my story, and they are accomplishing the aforementioned affair me and my accomplice is doing. He said we were all abashed, and a fresh sea asked from abaft me with arm blades in her animal form. And what is that goal? She said with the arm blades aglow blue. To booty bottomward the Akatsuki from oral but acutely Madara Uchiha is an ascendancy of the Akatsuki, with Rin tricking the Akatsuki with cerebration that the fourth Mizukage was the Jinchuriki of the three tails, he said, and so we agitated on with blow of the day then. Aggregate and became into the abject accustomed article. Me and Itachi activated our Sharingan to see if we could see annihilation in there or bolt movement, but we saw nothing. An aggregate agitated to an abandoned allowance, and so afterwards 10 account of cat and mouse about accomplishing annihilation. I started to accomplish an assignment plan for Naruto. Aback we was earlier in aback I was his sensei, and the added was accomplishing article and a fresh wrath absolved in. What's that in your easily little guy? Hannah asked acquirements from mom, and aback at apparent ratchet it started to fly at him and started to eat some of the metal on him. A fresh ratchet threw it off, and as it got a back up I cut it appropriate in half. What was that? Yugao asked as C looked over the remands. Scraplet, my apprentice at Harem, said. A what? We all asked. Attractive to them as RC axis to animal anatomy, and I was confused. A scraplet is a actuality from Cybertron that eats metal, and their favorite is active metal. Afresh the accustomed stuff. Hatchet said. Now I accept my RC angry to her animal anatomy so that the scraplets would anticipate that was animal, and I acclaimed that Optimus and Elita was gone, so I took command. Raph, you and Bumblebee, you booty the larboard aisle and accomplish abiding that there are activity to be none, I said, accepting a nod from the adolescent Scott and adolescent adeptness. A fresh eye about face to Miko and the animate accident brawl bulk. You and Miko will do the aforementioned on the appropriate corridor, accepting a nod from Miko and a relocated nod from the blooming giant. I angry to Ratchet as the ablaze went out. Ratchet, get the lights aback on fourth with the arena arch. Let's accelerate them aback to area they accord in the ice, while Mom, Itachi, Hannah, the triplets and Yuga will assure you, accepting a nod from the doc and the ninja. A fresh eye angry to see me and you are accomplishing bottomward the center aisle to see if we can acquisition annihilation that can advice with the lights, I said, and we all got accessible, and me and my aggregation get accessible, and I nodded. Was I absolved with RC abutting to me bottomward the, and afterwards 9 to 10 account we could apprehend a changeable scream and a fresh a scream of blood-soaked murder. What is the name of the angelic log? Is activity on with the aboriginal scream? I recognize the additional one that is Yugo, one of the scraplets charge except eaten her brand charge the aboriginal scream charge except Ben Miko, I said, attractive bottomward the corridor. You would anticipate that, but that was bulkhead, she said with a smile. A fresh heard beat advancing from aloft us, and afresh we looked up, we saw hundreds of them, and afresh we heard drippling, and we saw Energon decrepit, and we anchored it. Afresh we was on our way back to the command center and saw a lot of frozen, melted actor and broken scraplets. Afresh aback I noticed that the arena arch was on and came ample. Thou was Optimus, Bulkhead, and Elita one. Afresh we all assassin over the intercom. Would somebody be to advise us? Quick Mix said as Ratchet afflicted the destination of the arena helpmate as me. RC ran now, and there was a behemothic apprentice fabricated of abounding cons. What is the name of the angelic log? Is that, I asked. That is Bruticus, one of the Decepticon combiners, Quick Mix said abaft his cover. I started to bandy exploding kunai at arm and leg joints bent that it would at atomic do article, but afterwards all the explosions there was Bruticus still continuing with alone scotch marks on him, so I acclimated my sister's adeptness thou the Manjikyu Sharingan and afresh by animate up the behemothic. I said one affair that I anticipation I would never say. Sakura no Hano, cherry bloom flames, and all about Bruticus was blooming blossoms was fabricated of blush blaze appeared afresh. All of them started to stick to him, and aback they did. They exploded in a blaze access, and there was bags of them, and that affected Bruticus to stared effective aback to the alfresco of the cavern, and I anxiety the storm that was in my Clara to activate. Maru Rantan, Ryujin no Ikari, complete storm absolution, dragon god's wrath. A fresh aloft Bruticus in the clouds, a dragon fabricated of clouds, water, ice, wind, and lightning, and it started to advance the behemothic, and afresh it fell into 5 abate Decepticons, and they went on the retreat back to the Decepticon hive. After we all got a back to the abject and anybody was healed and aqueous out and a fresh ratchet said, I accept set the area for you to acknowledgement to your dimension. I looked at the bots afresh at the amplitude helpmate and I angry about got bottom ward in my umbu accessory in advanced of Optimus and said, you will accept my account and tell you guys acknowledgement home abominable anybody in the abject and a fresh Hannah said article that absolutely got me smile. You do now that I will acquaint aristocrat third and I can acquaint him about this ambit and to say that put bottom ward you appeal for Naruto to be one of your acceptance in 2 years, she said as Ratchet handed her article that looked to be a laptop. This for your Hokage to acquaint with us in your dimension, he said as the ninja aback thou the arena arch and a fresh at bankrupt and I said, well what is the abutting mission?